Hey everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video about Salesforce Customer 360, which used to be called Data Cloud. I just want to kind of go over the basics so that you can have an understanding of what this tool is capable of. So let's dive in. All right, so this is Customer 360. Again, it used to be called Data Cloud. But anyway, this is the home screen. When you come in, you'll be able to set up reports and dashboards to your liking. So for this example, we're just working with a retail consumer goods company, and we can see that they have 66 million source profiles, and Data Cloud has helped them narrow down to 18.7 million or unified profiles. So again, basically the tool Data Cloud, what it does is it helps you take all of your customer data from your marketing software, from your ERP, maybe from your shipping information, from whatever source that you're using, your CRM, all these different places, and create one single view of every single one of your customers. I like to consider it to be like a baseball card. So I'm a Seattle Mariners fan. If you think about Ken Griffey Jr.'s baseball card, you in the top left will have his picture, and then down below you'll have all the stats from him over the course of his career. So with Salesforce Data Cloud or Customer 360, you're able to come in here and create that baseball card view of each of your customers. So today we're looking at Rachel Morris. Rachel Morris is one of our customers at our retail consumer goods company. And we can see a lot of important information on Rachel because, again, we're unifying data from multiple sources. So if you're a company that's looking for insights into how your customers are active or your customer activity from emails that you're sending them or ads that you have published, or maybe they've created a case with you or whatever the case may be, Data Cloud is a tool to really just give you that holistic view. So enough about Data Cloud. Let's get into the actual features of this tool because it's really fun. So again, this is Rachel Morris, and we can see some important information like her shipping information, some segments that she belongs to, her customer satisfaction index, and then some basic information, email address, phone number, her physical address, loyalty tier, all these different things. Now, you might be wondering, how did we get all of this data in the system? I mean, for example, you look over here on the side, and you can see in the activity timeline just about everything Rachel has done with your brand. So we can see she opened a case, she opened an email, she made a purchase in store, she visited a portion of our website, she clicked on an Instagram ad. There's a lot of information coming in. So like, where is all of this coming from? The next thing I want to show you are what we call data streams. So a data stream is essentially your third-party data source. Maybe it's an Amazon S3 bucket, maybe it's Salesforce CRM or HubSpot CRM or whatever the case may be. Again, just think of your external systems that you're trying to pull all of your customer data in and make one version. Those are called data streams. So in here, we can see if I click New up at the top right corner, at Salesforce, there are hundreds of out-of-the-box connectors, and seems like they keep adding more to this number every single day. So we can see from a high level all of the different places that we can easily pull data in from. We've got Amazon S3, we got Snowflake. We can even do SFTP or a manual file upload. So maybe you have an Excel spreadsheet out there. And then down here, we've got a ton of out-of-the-box connectors. So say, for example, you want to know, hey, does HubSpot connect with this? I can just type in HubSpot. Or maybe you want to know, hey, does Meta connect with this? It does. I can bring in information on my customers from Meta ads. Now, without getting too technical, basically what you do is you authenticate into one of these profiles. Adobe Marketo, awesome. You go in and click in there, sign in, and everything works. But truthfully, if you are an existing Salesforce shop and you use, account engagement or B2C commerce or Salesforce CRM, the setup is incredibly easy. It'll take you no time to get the Salesforce product set up. And then when it comes to the mapping for the other products, I'll kind of show you what the user interface looks like. Because now that you have the data in the system, you've got to map it to a data model. So let's just come in here to, for example, my website engagement data stream. If I come down here and click review, I can see exactly how this data is being mapped to my data model. So over on the left, we have the data that we're bringing in from our third-party site. This would be our website. So think Commerce Cloud, think Shopify, think WordPress. And then over on the right, we have our data model, which is basically our set of rules that say, hey, here are the fields that we are bringing in from each of our customers. So very easy user interface. If I want to map across, their referred campaign, I just click it over here and then click refer campaign over there, and it will map it for me. A lot of these fields will also be mapped out of the box for you. just based on like the naming convention. So you just have to go through and kind of make sure everything looks right. And if you're someone that prefers more of like a table view, you can change the view over here. And again, you can just see exactly what field from your source is coming in and targeting your data model. Now, you do have to set up a primary key, which is basically like a social security number, and just say, hey, this is what makes a person unique. And then once you have that ID, you can map it back into the data model, and it makes sure that you don't create duplicate records. And speaking of duplicate records, the next thing I want to show you is what we call identity resolution. Identity resolution is where you come in and you make sure that when someone comes in and they match a certain set of rules, Data Cloud or Customer 360 will check your customer database and see if anyone else matches those rules. So who else is named Zach White and lives in Seattle, Washington, and works for Salesforce with Zach? So I can come in here and say, click into my identity resolution and show you what this user interface looks like. And so basically what we're saying is we have two options. We have match rules and we have reconciliation rules. With match rules, we are saying, hey, if a new piece of data coming in matches some existing data, then that means that is the same exact person. So again, we have a couple of options. I'll just come in here and click edit so you can see, but you can do exact name and email, exact name and phone number, a bunch of options out of the box. You can even add a custom match rule if you'd like. And so fuzzy is another option. I know I'm kind of flying through here, but fuzzy is like kind of close to the same. So maybe someone comes in the system and their name is Zachary White. They live in Seattle and they have a dog named Howie. We can assume using fuzzy name, Zachary White with a K, Zachary White with an H, or Zach White with a K or H, that's the same person. So again, Data Cloud and Customer 360, we really try to make it easy for you to create that unified version of each of your customers without having to write a bunch of code. And using these features like the fuzzy name, fuzzy email address, things like that, you can do that more easily. And then the next step, we have what we call reconciliation rules. A reconciliation rule means, hey, we have two data sources that came in and they actually have conflicting information. We believe that this is Zach White from Seattle with the dog named Howie, but one of the data sources says that his favorite color is red, and the other data source says that his favorite color is green. So maybe Zach White went to the website, filled out a form, said his favorite color is red, and then he filled out an ad on Instagram that said his favorite color is green. Reconciliation rules are set up to basically tell the system which data source do we want to give higher priority to. So you might say, hey, we want to prioritize the data that we bring in from our website over the data that we bring in from Meta, because Meta is always changing. People are always filling out those forms more frequently. And so we want the website we want to identify the website as basically our source that has the most trust. And so anyway, you can define your reconciliation rules to match that. And then over here on the right, you can see again how many unified profiles are coming in as compared to our source profiles. We can see anonymous profiles, if we don't have enough information on a customer, all kinds of different options in here. As we continue on, we get into segmentation. Now, since you have all of your data from Meta, from YouTube, from Shopify, from Salesforce Marketing Cloud Engagement, from all of these different places, now that you have all that data housed in one place, you've got your unified individual set up and everything's constructed just how you're looking for, the fun doesn't stop. You can actually start to build segments from all these different data sources. So I'll come in here and click into my Zach segment and just kind of show you what the user interface looks like in here. So if I come up here and I click edit rules, then you'll be able to see this nice and easy to use drag and drop user interface. So I can come over and look at my attributes and say, hey, from my Salesforce, from all my Salesforce systems, I want to use the birth date field and say if their birthday is anniversary of today. And then looking down here at another one of our data sources, maybe I want to look at my loyalty program. So maybe I'm using Salesforce Loyalty Management, or even just a completely separate company for loyalty management. And I want to say, hey, if their birthday is today and their account is equal to Salesforce with Zach. So basically what we're saying is, hey, we want to send a birthday email out to, or even an ad, or publish an ad to people whose birthday is today and they work for Salesforce with Zach. Then I can very easily pull in the data again from all of my systems and easily create a segment. Now, of course, this is going to require implementation and setup, which I always like to say, like, that's the hard part. Once you have the implementation set up, then getting in and building things out is fun and easy, and we are off to the races. There's actually another user interface, which we haven't talked a whole lot about in this call or in this recording, but I will say I have another recording that talks a lot about Agentforce. So we'll just hop over to Agentforce really quickly and show you what it looks like to build a segment using Agentforce. So that user interface that I had over here, I basically just click new and then click create segment with Agentforce. Yeah, create with Einstein segment creation. But anyway, I come up here and I can say, can you create I'll even spell that wrong. I did that on purpose. Can you create a segment of customers who have a birthday today and they live in Seattle? Something along those lines. And again, since you have all of your customer data being brought into one system, you're able to build segments out from all of these different sources. Previously, a lot of companies are having to write code and having to wrangle technical people to build these segments out. But now with Salesforce Data Cloud, you can actually just come in and use natural language to build these segments. And if I don't love the way that it looks, I can come over, if I don't love the way that the segment was created, I can just add to it. So I can say only if they are, are a CEO, for example. So now I add some more criteria to that. And you'll notice over on the left, the number of people changes and the criteria changes as well. And again, if you keep going through and having this natural language conversation with Agentforce and everything looks good, but you might want to make some extra tweaks, I can just click here and say edit segment rules, and it will take me back to that last user interface for kind of the drag and drop thing where I can move things around a little bit better. So again, with Salesforce Data Cloud, segmentation gets 10 times easier because you don't have to write code. You don't have to wrangle data from all these other systems. And most importantly, you don't have to leave out a part of your customers. Everyone can be brought in. Everyone can be considered when you go and do your marketing or sales motions or service motions or whatever the case may be. So really the value here is you're not leaving anyone out. Next up, we have activation targets. So this is where the value really starts to come in. So you got that unified version of your customer. You're bringing in data from all these different sources. You're able to build segments very easily and you're not leaving anybody out. But now you just have a stack of papers, essentially. You don't have anything actionable. Using activation targets, you can actually come in and, I might have to come over to this other one. But using activation targets, you can actually come in and define where you want that data to go. So for example, I said, hey, I created this segment and I really want to use them or use the people on that list to create an ad, for example. So let's come here to activation targets. If I click new, you'll see a very similar list of activation targets that we have to work with. Now, this is just a demo org, so there's not a whole lot of options in here for some reason. One second, let me see if I can find a better one. There we go. So basically what you can do is you can create activation targets that say, hey, I want to actually send this data to Facebook or to Google Ads or to LinkedIn. Maybe I want to send it to my marketing cloud or my ad provider, whatever the case may be. So basically the activation target is the reverse side of a data stream. Data stream, you bring data in, activation target, you send data back out. So now not only do you have a unified profile, but you're actually able to use that data or use those lists of people to publish ads or create website content or, even email marketing content, whatever the case may be. And then last but definitely not least, what we want to talk about is going to be calculated insights. So a calculated insight is basically you going in and pulling in your data from all these different sources. Again, I'll say that time and time again, but you're bringing in data from all these different sources and you are saying, hey, I want to calculate my customer lifetime value, or I want to create a customized formula from across all of these different systems to give my marketers insight into who to spend more time on, or my sales team insight into which leads are the hottest, or whatever the case may be. And so if I come down here to my LTV, then you'll be able to see an expression that looks, maybe a little bit technical at first. If you know how to use ChatGPT, you can do this. If you're used to the Salesforce user interface, same thing. But basically, you can create these expressions that say, hey, we want to pull in information from all of these different sources. So again, over here, you've got these fields. Over here, you add in, your equation, for lack of a better term. This is a more complex equation, I would say. But basically, you can come in and create those formulas to give you an expression or a number or even display a certain type of color or, it's really limited to your imagination when it comes to calculated insights. But again, the value of having a calculated insight means that you're able to actually use data from all of your different sources and create customized fields or numbers or whatever the case may be, so that you can very quickly identify what content or what leads or what service cases to lean into and which ones maybe that you don't need to spend as much time on. There's so much more that I could talk about with calculated insights, but just know it all kind of lands back over here on the homepage and on the individual customer page. So we went through and we talked about what it looks like to pull the data in through data streams. We talked about identity resolution and how this allows you and your team to finally get that single view of your customers that you've been looking for. Next up, we looked at using the segmentation creation tool. Whether you use natural language or the drag and drop user interface, you and your team are finally going to be able to go in and create segments of customers so that you can target the right people. After that, we talked a little bit about activations and how you can use those lists of people, all those segments, to publish Facebook ads or meta ads or send out specific emails, or whatever the case may be. And then we talked a little bit about setting up those calculated insights. Again, custom formulas, custom expressions from all of your different fields. This one's a little bit more technical, but if you have any more questions, just leave a comment below and I can clarify on any of this. But like I said, this all lands back on the Data Cloud homepage that we looked at earlier. So we can see, how many data streams we have, how many records we're pulling in, how many segments. So we can really start to see the usage of this tool and how it's actually bringing value. But the big win is, of course, the source profiles versus unified profiles. That's the whole purpose of Customer 360, formerly known Data Cloud. With unified profiles, again, we finally get that single view of our customers so that we can market to them, we can sell to them, we can be more proactive with service, all those different things. And then down here, again, all of these different sections are fully customizable. But when we look at the individual customer again, now that we have all this information on Rachel from all these different sources, we can see that baseball card view, which then empowers Agentforce and Einstein to give us predictive analytics like likelihood to churn, her propensity to purchase, her customer engagement score from all of our different activities. And then over here, you can even see a personalization tab, which will give you insights into, next best product for Rachel. Maybe, looking at all the different activities she's done on social media, on our website, engaging with specific emails. We know using artificial intelligence that these 4 products would be good ones to sell to her. Or even next best content because of segments that look like Rachel have engaged with that content. And then of course, next best action. What is the next thing that we should do? And then again, on top of all that, since we have all this information in, Agentforce is able to give us recommendations for, what kind of promo offers, what kind of add-ons, different similar products that she might be into. And then of course, we can see her event stream, all of the activity of Rachel from a technical level. So there's so much more to talk about here. I wanted to keep this video under 20 minutes. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just leave a message below in the comments. I'd be more than glad to help out. But that is Data Cloud 101. Again, like I said, there's always more that we can talk about, but that's kind of the basics. Thank you all so much for your time. And like I said, if you have any questions, just leave a comment below. See you next time.